People who've had sex with celebrities, how was it? A co-worker's sister slept with Chris Evans before he was famous. Same town. She worked it into every conversation she could. 'Cause why wouldn't you? She got America's dick. Close to 20 years ago, my roommate hooked up with a suicide girl who came to our apartment to stay for a few days. She kept name-dropping all these celebrities she knew like Slash and Trent Reznor to the point we were like, "Why you lying?" Then she pulled out all the pictures of her with various famous musicians. Apparently she was the secretary to someone famous for producing music, and that was how she met all these dudes. Well, she was in a relationship with Maynard from Tool at the time, and she left him to come live with us for a while because apparently sex with Maynard was just really bad. She later left my roommate for one of the drummers for Slipknot because he bought her a house in Texas. My roommate worked for a grocery store and just couldn't compete with the money. She did assure him that the celebrity sex was still bad. It was purely for the house. I used a gender-neutral bathroom with James Franco. We made eye contact and smiled at each other when we were washing our hands. I knew a girl who was an escort. She had sex with Derek Jeter. Afterwards he called a limo to take her home. In the limo was a gift. It was a baseball signed by Derek Jeter. My wife's grandmother dated Ted Bundy. Said he was a wonderful and charming guy. I'm starting to figure out people who bang celebrities aren't on Reddit. My grandma is from Memphis and dated Elvis for a while before he became mega famous. She has tons of pictures of them together and has told me tons of anecdotes that I have only seen in a few other places. I've seen only 6 of the pictures. I believe she had more, but she mentioned she only shows them to family now because some had been stolen. And yes, for those asking about age, Elvis would be 83 this year and my grandma just turned 79, so she would have been a few years younger than he and certainly very below 18. She told me lots of stuff. But for some reason the thing that sticks out to me the most and always makes me smile is that he loved bumper cars. 3 of the 6 photos she showed me were taken at different amusement parks, fairs, and 2 of them were in front of different sets of bumper cars. Just thinking of a young Elvis laughing and ramming into my grandma makes me smile. Unfortunately I live over 9 hours away from her, so I can't just ride over and upload the photos online. And honestly I'm not sure if she would approve of that. But I will try and remember next time I go down there. Come here grandchild, let me tell you the story of the time Elvis came on my titties. On a trip to Vegas, one of my friends effed Michael Jordan. She said it was painful and fairly fast. She won't ever stop talking about it. A friend of mine slept with Perez Hilton. Would you be surprised if my friend said the sex wasn't very good? My ex slept with Till from Rammstein after a gig once many years ago when she was a gothlet. She said he was very respectful. Mildly kinky, wanted to have sex on the hotel balcony with her bent over the rail over the city so people could see, and apparently had skin as soft as a baby. Apparently he was nice. Bought her breakfast the next day. Invited her back for a second sesh the next day, then moved on in his tour. She said 8/10 would starfuck again. My grandmother dated Jimmy Carter. Not sure how physical things got, but I've read a few of the letters he wrote. I only post this because I can't think of any other reason I would get to bring this up. A friend told me Victoria Justice gave lap dances to some of his friends at a party the year she signed on for Victorious. Was it Dan Get in the Van Schneider? Slept with the lady that used to do the morning news in my city. This was at least 15 years ago. She is a blanket stealer and puts her cold feet right between your legs when she wants them warmed up. Now everyone knows Cassie. Knew a girl who Zac Efron. Had to sign an NDA. Told me he wasn't all that great in bed. I.e. the fantasy was better than the reality. Still fanboyed over him hard apparently. So much about that NDA. A girl I went to high school with dated Jason Acuna aka Wee Man shortly before Jackass 3 came out. He visited her family in Y around Thanksgiving time, but he hated Y so much that he paid her best friend to drive him to the airport in the middle of the night. I guess when he visited he was Y Man. Post Malone asked my ex-girlfriend if she would be interested in going home with him under the condition that she would have to eat his ass. If there is one person's ass I would not want to eat, he would probably be it. Plus, his beehole probably has some stupid tattoo on it, like "So Hungry" or some shit. Girl I know slept with G-Eazy in 2015 before he was really big. He gave her chlamydia. LMAO. Friend girl of mine bang-screwed an NBA player. The only detail I remember was that he was adamant about taking the condom with him when he left. Update. Thank you for the award. Yes. Crazy groupies will indeed try to impregnate themselves with used condoms as a lottery ticket. Players are instructed to never leave their men behind. A friend of mine had sex with Paul Wesley. She said it was pretty good. He also took her on a short getaway trip. Seemed like a very nice guy. Ended up getting her a gift candle that was the scent of his cologne so she can remember him. My mom had sex with David Lee Roth. She said he smelled like sour milk and put his dirty hat on her head. Put his dirty hat on her head sounds like a euphemism. A woman I worked with had a one-night stand with Captain Obvious from Hotels.com, whom she met at a NY jazz club. She pretended that she didn't recognize him in order to prevent being seen as a gold digger. She was hoping to get into a short-term relationship with him and hopefully he would give her some money and buy her a Lexus, which she really wanted. Later she found out that he wasn't Captain Obvious, just looked very much like him. My friend bragged to me about getting banged by Tone Loc Funky Cold Medina guy. She was 18 but seemed proud of it. About 20 years later we were watching old videos and Tone Loc came on and I asked her about it and she said it sucked. He didn't shower after coming off stage. A little smelly. Drunk and gave a few pumps and was done. He barely did the Wild Thang. My nana was in a serious relationship with Nash of Crosby, Stills and Nash. I know a girl that hooks up with Hannibal Buress every time he comes to Milwaukee. Edit. They met on Bumble and she said he's very sweet guy. A friend of a friend slept with Shawn Mendes. Apparently it wasn't something to write home about. So you're saying he didn't leave anyone in stitches? I saw Danny DeVito cursing out a cyclist who nearly wiped him out. Getting out of a private cab once in San Fran was almost as good as sex. I hooked up with Randy Newman's son. He said I had a nice vagina. I guess that's a win. I guess you could say that. He had a friend in you. I f***ed the chick who was in a Target catalog. It was hot. Cutting a hole in the Target catalog doesn't count. I remember Vanilla Ice's answer to the question what was it like to sleep with Madonna. He said it's not like she had a golden pussy. That has stuck with me. Knew someone who slept with Leonardo DiCaprio. Apparently he kept his headphones on the entire time. My dad dated Sarah Wayne Callies Laurie Grimes from The Walking Dead in high school. Truth be told, I don't think he remembers much of that relationship. But she came to our house party once when I was a kid and she was always really nice to me and my sister. I think it's worth mentioning the irony here. She was only around when I was a kid. Once or twice when my parents would throw house parties. Being 8 or 9, I just thought of her as another adult there and didn't really care. But when I was 13 to 16 and became a huge Walking Dead fan, and never saw her around after that, I was so disappointed. There were points me and my mom would be watching the show and my dad would walk in and be like, "You know op, I dated the actress who played Laurie." "Yes dad, I know, if only there was some way to meet her." My friend f***ed the dude from the WoW Vine with the girl vaping. Jenna Jameson kissed me on the mouth at a strip club in Ohio. That's all I got. That's all I got. Count yourself lucky. I did not sleep with but did a little more than made out with Drew Barrymore October 7th FT. It was rad. Well, if this thread has taught me something, it's that celebrities are riddled with STDs. A friend was part of an actor's studio, Playhouse, in the 80s. She said Jeff Goldblum has a huge dick and is an amazing lover. They did it a few times but he let her down easy because his career was taking off and he was crazy busy. He was really cool and remembered her years later. Alec Baldwin was also hung but was super hairy and sweated a lot. Like, it was dripping into her mouth. It was too hard to ignore the sweatiness for her to enjoy it. But he was hilarious. Very bright and smelled good. Kerry Hatch, the bass player from Oingo Boingo, would scream, "I'm coming," really loud. Twiggy Ramirez of Marilyn Manson around 2000 or so after a show. Apparently it was alright. His dick was huge. But it was over quick and then he kicked her to the curb right after to do coke or something. And yes, she was underage. Back in the O, a mate of mine used to Shaggy every time he would come to Melbourne. I think he probably made 2 to 3 trips down here. We'd all make a big deal about her disappearing for a few days to shag Shaggy. She had nothing but nice things to say about him. She knew she was nothing but a bit of side poon when he was in town. I'm picturing that they were both buck naked banging on the bathroom floor. A buddy of mine dated a celebrity of American Pie fame, a certain foreign exchange character. He has my eternal jealousy but was a gentleman on the details. I did get to meet her and play poker at her house though, so there's that. It wasn't sex but I did beat her at a couple of hands. So that was cool. Then she cheated on him with a dance show partner. Disappointing all round I think.